By the end of this video, you're going to understand how to actually breed horses in the brand new update for Age of Empires Mobile. Because let's be honest, you could potentially be breeding two asses together and not create the stallion that you envisioned in your whole breeding process. And that is just because you probably don't understand the entire riding management mechanic as a whole. And today, I'm going to educate all of you. So smash a like, comment, and subscribe. And a quick disclaimer, this is gonna be a long ass video, and if you do want to support me that little bit extra, just remember in the description link down below is my Eneba creator code if you want to purchase any Empire coins or obviously Apex coins on your account. You can use my link and support me as a content creator. So first thing is, let's understand and explain the entire core loop of the riding grounds, and then I'm going to go into the basics of a horse, because if you don't understand those two things, you're not going to understand how to breed in this game and why breeding horses is going to be quite common and why it's going to be quite easy once you've wrapped your head around it. So the first thing is the core loop. The core loop is very easy to understand. You're going to be searching for horses that you're going to be able to earn through mount whistles in different events in game, and I will showcase these off in a second. Then once you've earned those horses, they will appear in your mount management. You might find two horses that you need to breed together, which will go into the breeding center. You can put these two horses together. So if we just put two of them for argument's sake for this video, let's click this one, add, and add this one, and add. What this will do is consume both of these actual horses to generate one brand new horse, but you are rolling on all of these percentage chances here for something to happen depending on what type of horse you do. And I know it sounds very crazy, a little bit complicated, but it's a lot simpler than you think, right? Once I hit the breed, you'll see these two horses will come together, and hey, I was lucky enough to get a brand new epic based actual horse, and on top of that, I got a brand new trait on there. This is not guaranteed every single time, so just to remind yourselves, if you do everything right, like I've said in the video, you are not 100% guaranteed to get what you expect. Something could change, or the rarity could change, anything could happen when it comes to it, but this does increase chances, right? So once we've done any of our breeding, you'll notice every single time we breed two blue horses, we're going to generate 3 insight points. This is the same if we generate two epic horses. This will be plus 5 insight points, and then for legendary horses, it'll be plus 7 insight points. The reason I'm telling you that is because every time you're breeding in this area in the core loop, you're going to be generating those points for your animal research area. And your animal research area is going to increase the chances of actually being successful during breeding. So you'll see the very first one is searches the proficiency gain. So you make sure you're keeping those proficiencies you want. Here is increasing the chance for breeding actually to occur on the base attributes. So if you're increasing those stats, you're going to be able to do that. Here is increasing the trait mutation chance. This one is in the inheritance chance. So if you're trying to either keep a trait or generate a brand new trait, you're able to actually increase those odds. And that is all through the Animal Research Center. Once you've actually bred your horses, and let's just for argument's sake, you have bred a horse like Dark here that has 2 actual traits, some decent stats that you care about, as well as the main thing, the traits, you'll be going to the Adornment. The Adornment is the next upgrade for your horse, and these are going to be basic stats, base attributes. These will always stay the same and they will not infinitely scale up. So what that means is, if you look at this level 6 there, it's 12.4%. If you look at this one, it's 12.4% too, and it's still the archer's bonus, right? You got archer, cavalry, and these are always going to be the same, and it will work level 20, level 40, and then level 60. I will talk about this a lot more in the adornment section at the end of the video, but once you've done that, you'll notice there's a special effect, and this is what gets slotted in and what matters on your horse, because your horse now has 3 or potentially 2 passive effects, which is 1 trait including 1 adornment effect, right? So you can imagine for me, I'm quite lucky because I've got double traits on this one as well as double traits on this one. I can actually have 3 passives added on to my formation. And the thing is, this is very powerful because each one of these mounts, when you go to mount it, can be mounted onto one of your heroes in the formation. And that means each hero can have obviously 1 horse, meaning 1 formation needs 3 mounts, right? Just like your signet rings, just like your gear. And I can showcase that off once we mount up that hero, jump out and go into this area. You can see we've got the gear slot, the signet ring slot, and now the mount slot. And this is the same for all of the heroes, including the one we've just added on to Attila there. So you can see that is the basic core loop. That is how it works for the riding grounds. Now, let me explain some very impactful things that you need to know before we get in. These are going to be tips and tricks for mount whistles and just numbers that you need to understand. When it comes to the mount whistles, obviously you can earn these in your good old Desolate Desert and the Fallen Frontier. Obviously, spenders may spend and get more of these, so I'm not going to address that. But the Fallen Frontier is going to be a random chance of obtaining 1 of these Mount Crystals when you open that chest. When you go to a Desolate Desert, though, there's going to be 2 areas where you're actually able to earn this, right? You need to be on the Desolate map. If you're not on the Desolate map, you will not be able to see the big mechanic here, which is the good old Ancient Dunes. These will appear in your exploration area once you've teleported into the brand new map, and you'll be able to view these as a new area. And what this does is give you a 1 free choice, right? So you can go for legendary, epic, or rare. Obviously, rare is the easiest and it works its way up in difficulty and how hard it is to complete, but you're going to be able to choose one of these and then obviously complete the requirements. So this one is to use 4,000 Empire coins, and by doing so, you'll earn that Mount Whistle. Every day, completely free, you get 3 chances, free. Then you can pay 500 Empire coins to buy 1 quest attempt. That is why I have 4 out of 3, so you guys can see that. If I buy another one, this is going to be now 500, and you can see again, 500. So it's 1,500 Empire coins each day in order to get 6 attempts in order to complete these tasks, and this will give you 6 Mount Whistles on doing so. Very important to do that because this event, as you guys should know, for the Desolate Desert actually lasts for 7 days. So if you do 7 times 6, that's 42 Mount Whistles, which is actually not too bad compared to only 3 a day, which is going to be 21, and that is a massive difference from 42. Doubling up is going to be huge when it comes to breeding these horses. To finish it off, you also will gain some extra rewards on your alliance ranking. So on your alliance ranking here, if you're at the very bottom in the top 10 basically, you'll get 1 extra, but then you'll get 2 plus 3 plus 4, and then number 1 gets plus 5. So if you're in the number 1 alliance every Desolate Desert, and each Stellar Glory season is how long these come around, you'll be earning 47 of these bad boys on your account, right? So that is just some nice quick maths that you need to know when it comes to breeding and earning your good old mounts. So now let me explain the last important thing that you need to know, which is going to be the actual mounts themselves before we go into the nitty-gritty, the deep dive of breeding and showcasing multiple examples of breeding horses so you guys can understand. So when it comes to a horse now, we need to understand what we're looking for and what we're needing to look for when we breed. So when we're looking to breed, for example, if we just go on some blue horses here and just scroll down, the first thing I'm going to recommend is actually look for horses without any traits. And it sounds crazy, I know, but you can actually use these depending on the temperament that they have. So if we look at this one here, this temperament is spirited, and this is one of the better ones that you need to increase chances of actually mutating a trait on there. So you can see increased mount mutation chance. All that's telling me is I have a better chance with this horse to potentially get a brand new trait, or even to level up into an epic based horse. We don't know, right? It might have that extra bit of chance. When we look at another horse like the docile horses, the dociles are the opposite of the spirited. These guys want to keep whatever you've got. So if you have a special trait that you care about, this is going to increase the inheritance chance of getting that trait. And that's what you want, right? If you want to try to keep upgrading to a purple, to a legendary, and then eventually to a mythic one, which I wouldn't recommend most people do, but you will be able to hit that marker, right? So from that, what are the actual temperaments that you need to know, right? So if we go into the filter tab, instead of keep it going backwards and forwards, you have 3 temperaments that you need to care about, which is going to be your docile, your mischievous, and your spirited. As we've seen, spirited is all about increasing the mutation chance. The docile is all about increasing your inheritance chance. And mischievous is a very special one. And I know it might not sound very ingenious on why you might need it, but this is going to create one called an atavism chance. And what that means is once we get to the breeding section, which it explains, this increases the chance that your horse, when it promotes, keeps 0 traits. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking, why the hell would I want a horse with no traits? Well, what if you've got that horse with really high attributes but no trait, and then you find another horse that's docile that has the trait, and you bang them together? Well, now you're going to have a horse with really good stats and potentially inherit the trait of your teammate. So that's how this is actually quite good, and why you need to use some of them in certain areas. Now, when we look at each of the different other temperaments, which is fearless, protective, alert, as well as warbred, each one of these traits will cause a different mutation effect to happen, right? So when we look at this temperament, alert says you're going to get a strategy damage trait. When we look at something like warbred, we're going to get might damage trait. If you get fearless, we're going to get universal trait, right? So you can see these guys are all designed to try to create something. They're trying to create something out of thin air, right? So what are traits, you're probably asking after all that? What are traits? Well, if you go to your breeding center, your traits are explained on the right side. These are, as I've been saying from the beginning of this video, those special effects, these effects that you've been wanting to put onto your marches. And I know you guys are probably saying, Sneakyy, stop pulling it down so fast, we want to see what they do. Don't worry, because I've already understood the assignment, because we've grouped all of these traits into groups, so you know exactly what you're looking for. So group 1 is similar to group 2. So group 1 and group 2 are very similar. Group 1 is your might damage based effects. So this is overpower, increase your active skill might damage. Really good for Miyamoto's, Yodits, vice versa, right? Mounted heroes secondary strike skill might damage. Really good for Mulans, Bellevues, Lubus, right? Anyone who does secondary strike damage in might. Really good. You got your passive skill, your turn-based skill, and your normal attack damage at the bottom here. So you'll notice all of these guys here, from fierce up to overpower, they're all might-based damage traits. Thunderbolt, I also believe, is a might-based damage trait, but this is increasing your critical strike damage increase, right? So your Lubu really wants Thunderbolt, if you guys are wondering. This is the Lubu trait. When you look at the next one, you got the Armyy Sunder, which is mounted hero, all types of damage increase. So you'll notice these two are kind of niche and kind of specific to a hero. So that's group 3. Group 3 is going to be all specific base traits. But you'll notice here, Spirit Bond, Stratagem, Cunning, and Battle Master, the second group, very similar to the very first one you've just seen, right? So group 2 is all about the same thing, but strategy. So mounted heroes, active skill, strategy damage. So this is for your Ramses. Secondary strike skill, strategy damage. That is obviously your good old Hannibals, right? Belisarius again. So that showcases that. We do not have any passive skill strategy damage or turn-based skill strategy damage at the moment. However, if a hero in the future comes out with any of these effects, that's who you're going to be needing them for, right? So just to explain that. Then you've got your solo battle and rally battle effects. These are for very specific tailors. So if you're a mounted hero, only effective when attacking player troops, in solo battle worlds, you're going to get 10% extra damage. If you do that in a rally scenario, you can get 10% damage. If you do the opposite though, there is the Fearless and Bastion, which is solo battle and rally battle again, but this is damage taken reduction. So you can see here, this is another group. So if you've guessed it, that's group 4. Fourth group on show, all about the rally battles. Then the final 2. There's only 2 last groups. And if you've not guessed it yet, yes, group 5 is gonna be your reductions. So any type of reduction you want, you'll see that in this screenshot here. And then the final group that you're able to get is gonna be your good old healing. So if you want to heal, you've got healing armor here, renewal, and lifesaver. So those are your 3 different traits. So you can think now, when you're trying to breed these guys, you're going to be trying to get, for example, Warbreads to try and generate overpower, right? Because you're trying to get this trait on a horse that might not have any traits. So now we know all of that and all of that information about, obviously, horses, temperaments, the importance of knowing temperaments so you can get those traits. What's the last thing you need to understand about these? Well, the last thing you need to understand is traits themselves have rarities and ranges. You heard correctly. So what I mean by that is, if you go and actually find a trait specifically, like I think my Thunderbolt does, or if we find another one, you'll find out that 2 of these actual, traits have different ranges. So you can have a blue Spirited Bond or a blue Thunderbolt, and you'll start to realize that it's not actually dealing the same, right? So if we just go and go overpower here, you can see I've got a 7.6% one. Then I've got a 6.8% one here, and then another 6.8% here. And you'll notice this goes to 4.4 and then 2.8%. And that is all dictated on the rarity. So the higher rarity you have on your trait, the better percentage that you have. But also within that percentage, there is a higher and a lower limit. So this could be 6% at the lowest, while 8% at the highest, right? So just remember that. That is the last important thing that you need to know. You got ratings of these, traits, as well as the range of the traits too. So you've got common, blue, epic, legendary, mythic, and then you've got ranges in between. Hopefully I've explained that, because that is honestly really important to know if you've got a good horse or a bad horse when it comes to breeding. So now let's talk about breeding itself. Let's get into the nitty-gritty bit, because I know it's been already 20 minutes nearly of this video, but look, that's all the information you're going to need just to get to this point here, right? So when it comes to breeding, you need to understand some important things, which is the modes of inheritance. So you can see there is the atavism, which is the mischievous horses, right? The offspring will inherit 0 traits. Then you got inheritance, which is inherits 1 parent's traits. Mutation, which is going to acquire a new random trait. Or you get a bloodline promotion, which is the offspring's quality exceeds the parents, meaning you'll get a new promoted horse from blue to purple, and potentially even an upgraded trait on top of that, right? So this is very important now, because let's start breeding some horses. And if you want to follow me along when this comes out, you're able to do so. But if you're just following on for the video, it's going to keep it nice and easy. What we're going to do is look for some blue horses that actually just have the fearless tag on for now, right? And what we're going to try and find is a horse without a trait on it, because as you guys will notice, you'll get a ton of horses with no traits, right? So what you want to try and do is create a trait. So if you've not guessed it already, we want a temperament from our horse like fearless, or we might want protective, which is going to generate a healing trait, or we're going to be wanting our not spirited, our alert, right? So we can get our strategy damage, or we might be a bit adventurous, go warbred and get our good old might, right? So you got universal, strategy, might, and healing. You can get 1 of 4 types of traits, right? All from these horses. So what we'll do is add 2 warbreds together. And by adding those 2 warbreds together, we're increasing the temperament as much as possible to give us, if we get a new trait, to actually give us a might-based trait, right? So if we hit the breed, boom, we're going to slam these together. Were we lucky? We wasn't. We was not lucky. We can try that again. And if you are wondering to see how lucky you are, if you've not noticed it, on the right side here is the percentages. So you have a 50% chance of generating a new trait out of thin air or not. And obviously each time you're doing this, you're consuming 2 horses to get 1. But there we go. Boom. We got a bloodline promotion. We actually promoted one of those horses, or those horses, into an epic one. And I know it still doesn't have any sort of trait, but don't worry. You're going to be able to try it and again create one. So we're going to keep trying to do this just to showcase this is how breeding will work and why you will, need to breed a lot of horses all the time. Because then we got this one, right? We've bred 2 war breeds together. We've actually kept the war breed temperament, which is kind of cool. But you'll notice we got a might-based trait now. We've got hero passive skill might damage increase by 4.4%. And we've got some good siege and strategy on there. Obviously, we don't want those stats for might-based heroes, but it is what it is, right? So you can kind of see that is how we're going to be generating those traits. Now, you can do some actual cool, funky things. So you'll notice each of these horses have these stats. So you'll notice I have an armor stat here at 3.1, as well as a siege stat at 2.9. Same with the steep horse. I have a might one and then a siege one. And if you've not guessed it yet, when you add 2 of these horses together, because you're combining them together, if there is a commonality in your attributes, they are going to come together. So you'll notice both of these horses have siege here. And if you look on the base attributes, when you breed your horse, it's 100% chance to keep it because obviously both horses have it. However, one of my horses have might and one of my horses have armor. So it's going to randomly pick one of these 2, basically like another 50-50 coin flip, and give me one of those attributes, right? Really good if you are trying to find horses or try to make horses with specific things. So a good example of that now is if we go to this horse, we've got strategy as well as might, right? We've got might and strategy, and I actually want might and armor, right? I want might and armor. So what we could do is find one where we have that might and armor there. So this is like this one. And we can maintain keeping that might, and we can try to roll to gain armor instead of strategy on one of these horses, right? And on top of that, we're going to try and generate a brand new trait. It's going to be potentially a warbred trait. And to put icing on the cake to finish this whole UI, you have a 20% chance of getting an epic horse. So that is the breeding system in a nutshell. So if we hit breed now, bang, we hit the 20%. We've got warbred, but look, we've got might and armor. So I was successful in actually getting rid of those blue horses, promoting them up into a good epic horse, and getting the stats that I care about, which is might and armor. Because now, as you guys will most likely guess it, we're going to go to our horses here, our war breeds, hit it, and you'll notice we have our might and armor horse here. This is the one we've just generated on our account. It is a warbred, and we can do the same thing again. Obviously, we're going to roll the dice. I wouldn't advise this. I would advise putting a might and armor guy, obviously, since you've just bred for this. But just for argument's sake, you can now breed these two epics together. And there we go. We were lucky, and we've got might and armor. Both of our stats have increased, our attributes. We've got the maximum amount of armor at 9. But we've also now finally generated a actual trait. We've got a purple trait called Fierce, which is increasing our normal attack damage by 15.3%, which is nothing to be joking about. That is a lot of damage to get from a trait, right? And this is all you're going to be doing for your horses, right? So for argument's sake now, and this might not work because it's not guaranteed, but for argument's sake, let's get a docile horse. Let's get some dociles, right? Let's say, for argument's sake, we've got some dociles like these two, or these guys, and we're going to add this horse to this horse here. What we're trying to do is say, these two are both docile, and I really want to keep this Iron Ridge. And the only way I can get this any better is potentially going in here and finding a horse that's docile, as you guys can guess, with the Iron Ridge trait. So if we go down and find Iron Ridge, we've only got the one, right? So if I go and remove docile, I actually have 2 horses like that. So what we could do is remove this one, put this one in. And what this is saying now, as you guys have guessed it, is I've got a horse that's alert, which could mutate. It could mutate and give me a strategy damage base trait. However, I've also got this horse that's going to try to inherit those traits, which is aka the Iron Ridges on both of them, right? So I can roll the dice and let's see what we get. Boom, together. And there we go. We actually didn't get anything there. We got the Mounted Heroes passive skill might damage increase, and we got Warbred. So you can see there, we actually mutated into a completely different horse, and it ignored the temperaments and ignored what we had on our skills. So you can see nothing is guaranteed. It's not guaranteed by any means. However, this is the way you're going to be breeding your horses. As me and our good friend Steve figured out during all of this, the best thing you can actually be doing with your horses is actually breeding empties together. So if you breed these two together, all you're trying to say to yourself is, I'm trying to create a universal trait, or I'm trying to create myself a healing trait. And every time I breed these, boom, we're going to either get the trait, which we don't, or we're going to get an improved amount of stats, and those stats sustain, and we can put those with another horse and increase their stats, right? So either way, you're going to get something out of this, and this is the best thing to do in it. The only thing you really need to know now about the breeding center is to finish off and lead on to the next section is the points. So every single time you obviously breed 2 rare horses together, you're going to get +3 on the good old insight points. And this time, as you guys have seen, we've been looking to get an epic base trait on our horse, but you're going to get +3, right? This is for your research. If you put 2 purple horses in, so if we go boom, boom, and just get 2 purples, let's just get this guy and this guy, you're going to be rolling for a 10% chance of a legendary horse. Otherwise, you're going to get a 90% chance of getting an epic horse. But you can still see 50-50 on the good old traits because we don't have any traits at all. And it's going to keep all of these stats because the stats are the same. So if we go to breed, boom, we've got an epic horse. And there we go. We're really good. Epic horse with armor strategy. Your troops damage taken reduction by 2.1% while in rallies. Really good. That's what we want, right? We want horses doing that type of thing. And that is, if you've not guessed it, +5 on the insight points, which was the main point I was trying to make in this. And then to finish it off, the legendary ones give you +7. You heard correctly, +7. And I'm going to have to, unfortunately, get rid of 2 of them that have... Actually, I'll keep the stratagem one because it's good. Let's just get rid of this one, right? So we'll get rid of Armyy Sunder and we'll get rid of Perseverance, potentially. And we're either going to get a horse with a double trait, which is 9%. We're going to get 10% chance of getting no traits, which is going to be unlucky. But then we have an 81% chance of getting either probably one of these traits, or we're going to get either a random one because it's going to mutate, or we're going to get a random universal one, right? We have a 1% chance of getting a mythic. Here we go. Slam them together. Boom. Legendary. And we've still got the might strategy. And then there we go. We've got Fateless as the trait. And we're getting +7 insight points, like I said, for that. So that is honestly the breeding section complete. That is how you should be breeding your horses. Breed all horses with 0 traits. Try to create traits and then use docile horses to maintain the inheritance of your horses, right? So now we've got that over and done with. We're at the final hurdles, which is the research and the adornment workshop, which isn't honestly nowhere near as complicated. So the research center is easy picking. The right side, as I said, is going to be all about your increase of chances of actual research. So this is going to be about if you want to increase your attributes, if you want to increase your mutation chances, as well as increasing your inheritance chances. All of them are really good because obviously the more chance to mutate, you got more chances of creating new horses, as well as the inheritance chance obviously increases the chances of keeping those skills. This goes across level 1, level 2, as well as level 3. And you'll notice, as I have done here, level 1 costs us 100 of these insight points. Then it goes to level 2, which is 150. Then it's going to be 230 to go to level 3. Then to go to level 4, it's going to be 340. And then here is 510 to max out. And you'll notice for the other ones, I've only gone 3 out of the 10 because you're going to need to get these guys all done in order to progress up. Same with these guys. You're going to need to get these 3 out of 10 and you can't progress this anymore until you complete this one. So you do have a little bit of a priority on how you have to do it. But just do it. Once you've done your right side, you will only ever upgrade this left side once you've actually generated enough good horses on your account. Because the thing is, this is going to increase your actual attributes for your marchers. So you can see when a hero is mounted, they're going to get increased pikeman health, pikeman defense, pikeman attack. And you can see here, we've got a all units attack and then pikeman damage increase, all unit types defense. We've got pikeman to cavalry damage, then reduction of pikeman damage to swordsman, and then all types unit health. So you can see all of this is, again, going to be the same on each of the different types of units, right, for everyone. But these are very costly, guys. These ones are very costly compared to the other ones. 200 to start off with, 280, 360, and already 480 for the next one. And if we go to research this, it's already 600 now for a level 5 compared to the level 5 over here at 510. So you can see they have put a higher cost on the PvP ones compared to the chance ones, but that is on purpose because you are going to need chance over damage at the start, right? Now, once we've done all of that, let's just say for argument's sake, like in the gameplay loop right now, you have created the horse of your dreams. You've created a double traiting horse with some really good traits that you want. You maybe got at least one good attribute that you care about, either armor, might, or strategy for your march. Then you're going to be talking about your adornments, right? This is the final hurdle of the riding grounds and the final push of this video. So I want to say thank you to every single one of you that have watched this video all the way through to this point. You guys are a gold stars. Pat yourselves on the back and let's finish it up, right? So the adornment area is a lot easier to do. So every unit has a actual unit specific type of adornment. So you'll see the Swift Blade is for the swordsman as well as the Mystic Mirror, all swordsmen. If we look at the Guidance Star, these are all pikemen as well as the Stalwart Shield pikemen. If you look at the Unyielding Iron, this is for cavalry, and the Sacred Lily also for cavalry. What you'll notice for each one of these, they have the exact same group of actual, base attributes that you can increase. I am going to tell you now, 9 times out of 10, always pick the adornment with the lowest one, right? Meaning the reduction one. Because when you look at the top one, you get attack, health, and skill damage, which is good, don't get me wrong. But when you look at the bottom ones, you get defense, health, and troop damage taken reduction. These 2 stats alone are the 2 best stats for actually surviving damage and letting your march do some work, right? So you're gonna be needing to do that, right? You'll notice every single one has it. So I would recommend, if you're using any of these marches, to go for the Eagle's Blessing. If you're obviously an archer, if you're a cavalry, you go for the Sacred Lily. If you're a pikeman, you go for the Stalwart Shield. And then for infantry or swordsman, you'll be Mystic Mirror. These base attributes, guys, will upgrade at a steady pace, which I'll showcase next. The thing that you care about, though, is anytime you are crafting one of these actual adornments, you're going to roll one of these special effects. And you can see that at base level, it's going to start at blue. And then at max level, this is what it does at 40.95%. If I craft one of these, you'll see it's going to roll. We got one of them. We got Headhunter in, and we hit confirm. When you go into your items area, you'll now see all the adornments that you have. And we'll be able to see now what each of these do when you're upgrading them. Because at level 1, this is what it will look like, just as a standard base adornment. When you look at your base attributes, and I would honestly recommend getting some of your base attributes done, not straight away, but I would advise getting them done, because these are always guaranteed. So what I mean by that is, if we just equip it onto this Theodora for now, even though we're not going to be using it on Theodora, if we upgrade that adornment, you'll see we have intensification and attributes reroll. What you want to do is click on the intensification, and you'll notice that you're going to be leveling up just like gear does accumulatively, right? So each time I hit this, you'll see it over there. 80, 90, 100, 110, right? So it's accumulatively getting more expensive, but at the same time, we are gaining our max stats. So you can see this is at 11.8%. And then if we do the last pip, that will now make it level 20 and want to promote it. This stat will not increase any further. If you upgrade this and advance your adornment, you unlock the second actual, bits of unit buffs, and then you start upgrading those ones. So if we check now, you'll see it's at 210, 220, 230, and it's going to keep doing it, right? And you can see it's only upgrading the health. You have maxed out the top one already. It will not go any further. So this is going to be the same now for the second one. So when the second one is maxed out, as you'll see, it will then let you advance one last time to the third one, right? And by advancing this, it will allow you to then go to intensification, and then, as you guys guessed it, keep pushing up. The only difference is, if you guys have noticed it, on these two, every accumulation is plus 10. On this one, it's plus 20, right? Plus 20. So just remember that. Once you have done this, by the way, you have maxed out your base attributes and you cannot improve these any further as of now in game. The next only upgrade that you're able to do from this, and you'll know that you've completed it because it will look like this little cool gem, you need to go to your attributes reroll. And this is the final part, the final RNG, and the final thing you need to do in order to make sure your trait actually works on, or your adornment works with its special effect. So you can see here we're at level 1 and we're getting 11.4 rage once we hit below 50%. If you click on the 100% there, it will tell you the reroll chance of your actual goes. And you'll notice for us, the player, we always need to look on the green. We need to be looking on the left side because that is what we're aiming for, while the middle and the right side is against us. So you'll notice there's an 80% chance of it going up, while a 20% chance of nothing happening. And this will be a 70% chance to go up, 30% chance of not happening. While when you start to get in a little bit higher, you start to get tier downs. And the higher and higher you go, you'll get these tier downs, which eventually do cap at 30% even at the mythic level, which isn't too bad, right? So when you go into the attributes reroll now, you're going to see if you hit boom, we've gone up, boom, we've gone up. And this is again because we're hitting the 70%, we've hit the 60% there. And now we've hit that one, right? So now we go up, but we didn't. We hit, as you guys have guessed it, the 20%, and we've gone back down. So now I need to hit the 60% to go back up, which is going to be unsuccessful. We was on the same one. Okay, now we've gone back up, and then this is going to, boom, increase now the rarity. And the big thing is, if you didn't notice it on the tables, and this is my fault too, every time you go up a tier of rarity of your special effects skill, you're not going to be able to lose it. So you'll never go back down. So just think, if you get a legendary or even a mythic, you can never go back down. You'll never, ever go back down. So that is honestly all you need to know about adornments, because once you've started doing this, you're good as golden. Now, you'll notice we're using some new currencies in the game, obviously for adornment specifically. You obtain these through the mall and the desolate desert through certain events that you're going to be able to do, as well as the raw iron. You're going to be able to do the fallen frontier and the desolate desert as well. This is obtained through achievements, as well as, again, different parts of the desolate desert map. You'll be able to do things on there, right, to earn these. So this is all you need to know for the adornment section, and honestly, that should complete the mount guide, because once you do that, all you're going to be doing, as you guys have guessed it, is slotting your adornment into a mount. That's all you're going to be doing. Now, to finish off this whole video and give you guys probably the one question you probably have to ask me in the comment section, most likely, is, what is a good horse? Perfectly fine. Perfectly good question to ask. What's a good horse? I would consider any good horse to equip or to mount onto a hero anything with a purple or higher trait. I'm going to be honest. And this can be a purple trait, even an epic or mythic trait on lower rarity horses. Because the thing is, you'll realize I can get stuff like this, which is 12.4% might and 10.4 extra strategy with this overpower skill. But I can also get, for example, this shiny heirloom. And this has a mythic trait on it, which is 4.8%. And if we go to check out Lifesaver, for an example, you'll see this is 4.8%, while this legendary horse with an epic trait is only 2.88%. So you can see that even an epic horse with a legendary trait is actually better than a legendary one. because the trait is what matters. And the thing is, the good horses are going to have good traits, and even better, potentially double traits, as you've seen with my legendary ones, right? So if we go to our legendary horses and take off Lifesaver to finish off the video, you'll see I have got double epic, double blue, and a load of purple singles, right? That is how you'll know you've got a good one, just from the traits alone. And because of that, you'll be using those horses to adorn and then equip to your heroes. So hopefully, I know it's a long video. I'm sorry you guys said you don't mind long videos, but hey, we'll test that out in today's video. But this is everything you need to know. This is everything. This is all the search mechanics, the breeding mechanics, how to look at your mount management screen correctly, the temperaments, the traits, the animal research, and the adornment, all in one video. We've given you as much information as I can. The only thing to finish it off with, just to showcase it for everyone that might be asking, a lot of the rewards are based on the Desolate Desert. So you can see even these ones, which are very brutal because you need these fine irons, these refined irons, to actually upgrade your adornments, as you've seen from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3. But that's what I've got them so far in the Pioneer server. This could all change later down the road. In your achievements, you'll also have some more. So if I scroll down, these are your actual summons. So you can craft, as you can see, up to 20 adornments in your first rodeo if you complete all of the conquest achievements. And then here you got June 3, and then even more from Assassin, Assassin 2, and Assassin 3, with the obviously raw iron needed, right? So hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. I know it's a long one. I know it's a hard one to maybe wrap your head around, but if you want to, you can check out my live stream. I will put that in the link in the description down below, where I honestly go through this live and do a load more examples all in front of you, and you can see it all working, all as I said, all as I guess and estimate for you. So smash like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you appreciate this video. This is all the news, all the info for the Pioneer servers, Riding Grounds mount. This may change in the future, but until then, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.